in our grand final edition of the Optus Crows Show. Relive today's decider at the Adelaide Oval and head into the rooms. Plus, take a look back at the rise of AFLW. Taylor Walker reveals the motivation behind his on-field revival.
If I can continue playing the way I am, I can't see a reason why I wouldn't be here next year.
And hear from the Crows' rising star.
It's a lot of fun being out there, and I'm loving playing at the moment.
Good afternoon and welcome to Adelaide Oval for a very special edition of the Crows Show. Joining me is two-time Crows Premiership captain Mark Bickley. And Bix, we're here at Adelaide Oval, of course, because the AFLW Grand Final has just finished behind us. Unfortunately, you're not smiling.
No, exactly right. It wasn't the result all the Crows fans were hoping for. The Brisbane Lions, though, full credit to them. It's their third Grand Final. They were yet to have a victory, but today was their day. They were outstanding and well-deserved winners.
Adelaide has certainly dominated. I suppose they started favourites because of the home ground advantage. Of course, 2 years ago we saw the 53,000 people here. That's got to be some advantage, but they never took advantage of the advantage.
Yeah, well, that's right. Look, they had plenty of play and just couldn't find an avenue to goal today, and it was just inside 50s were dominant. I think it was something like 44-24. They just couldn't find a way to get the score on the board, and with Chelsea Randall not playing, Aaron Phillips was quiet, and unfortunately, they weren't able to kick that winning score.
Bix, we'll talk a bit later about Chelsea Randall missing out, but the step-in captain, Ange Foley, she also was injured during the game. There's a bit of a gap in the leadership, wasn't there?
Yeah, look, it didn't help, did it? It was late in the game, and when I say late, in the third quarter, and there was she fell awkwardly, injured that knee, and it sapped a bit of energy out of Adelaide. For them to try and come back in the last quarter, they were gallant. They certainly had lots of play, but once again, couldn't find a way to goal, and minus their captain, minus their stand-in captain, it was just too much.
Late in the third quarter, you mentioned that time. That was critical for Adelaide and Brisbane because the Lions suddenly kicked 2 goals, and it sort of put it away from close enough to get back, didn't it?
Yeah, look, it did suck the energy out of Adelaide, particularly the one that was just seconds before the three-quarter time siren. And often when you go into that final break, you go in with momentum, don't you? And when they kicked that goal, they all swamped each other, and they really walked in with a spring in their step, and you just felt like it sapped a bit of energy out of Adelaide. Like I said, they were gallant in the last quarter. They tried hard, but they just couldn't find a way to go.
All right, Bix, we just saw the girls disappointed heading back to the rooms, but of course, it's been a wonderful journey for the Adelaide Crows women this year. Let's have a look at how they made it to the grand final.
The Adelaide Crows select Tia Charlton from the South Adelaide Football Club.
Yep.
Sorry to interrupt.
Hello.
How are you going? Welcome to the nest.
Yep. What'd she end up doing, Dino?
Just rips it from her teammate's hand, gets a little poke to it, and for the Crows,
The other one we can talk about if you want
out to
is
Phillips.
Randall not playing,
Throws it on
and
the
her
left.
player effectively won the medal for best on ground, whatever that's called.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
They won't be able to. And the Adelaide Crows have shown they are a force to be reckoned with.
What do you do, a hammy?
The Adelaide Football Club's vision is to bring people together and achieve great
We know how
things.
bad they need.
So I think that this Pride round is something that's just continuing to create that legacy.
She's able to do well. Got a clever little handball to Jones. She's able to get it again on the second ball. Ponta, we know she's so creative. Steps through too.
If you want to have success, if you want to have victory, just price.
Takes ground again by foot. Dockers are there in number. Rue was highest in the contest. Martin got a horrible bounce, but she'll have a big piece.
Charlton was run down. Phillips at the top of the square. Chart attacks the top of the square. Phillips!
It's really important for me and my community because it's an opportunity for me to get to educate my teammates on the Indigenous issues that we have here in Australia, and not only that, but to celebrate Indigenous culture and to come together as one and to celebrate that.
Ree Watt grits her teeth, tries to bust through. Ball fed back to Randall, who snaps a goal. Randall tries to paddle the advantage of Charlton. She did well to stand up in the first tackle. From the angle, that's a magnificent goal. Chance here on the angle. Banana, shot a goal.
And then it's a foot race. Danielle Ponta, bikini, and it sits up perfectly for Ponta. And with the banana, puts it through. Goes to the hot spot. Phillips.
Handball was really clever. Great duck and a great snap from Rochelle Martin.
One-on-one with Hardwick. Shear wheels around. Ponta! Danielle Ponta, if you don't mind. Woodland, almost a standing start. Great smother by Hardwick. Handballs fires out to Randall.
out of the way, Pearce. Here is Martin, a fourth possession. Could be an important one as well. She gets her opportunity. Massive moment in this contest. Jones is dangerous at the full, off the ground. See you next Saturday.
Huge win.
The road to the AFLW Premiership once again winds through the city of churches to the Adelaide Oval. Next Saturday, right here, the Crows will chase an historic third title.
And unfortunately that didn't happen. Bex, we talked about Chelsea Randall before, her missing. And when I got here, you explained about the first time they played Brisbane this year, the effect of her and Erin Phillips, how it worked and why it didn't work today.
Yeah, well Kate Lutkins, who won the medal for the best player on the ground, she's just been an intercept mark queen for the whole season. And last time Adelaide played, Chelsea Randall played on her and actually led up at the footy and just made her accountable, and that enabled Adelaide to get the ball deeper and it enabled them to get it to Erin Phillips, who kicked 4 goals that day. But unfortunately, with Chelsea not playing today, and they couldn't really find anyone else to really engage her and take her away from where the play was. And she marked everything today. She was outstanding. She's had a great year, and that was one of the key issues, I guess, with Adelaide. They just weren't able to. They went in so often, they weren't able to find anyone who could either mark the ball or bring the ball to ground.
Also read about Ange Foley getting the captaincy nod from Chelsea Randall, and she came in, and unfortunately it looks like a knee injury. We're not sure how serious it is at the moment, but that was, as we mentioned before, a devastating blow at a critical time of the game.
Yeah, look, and when you see that and the game stops and you already feel like you're up against it, when you see one of your leaders go down and you're thinking to yourself, geez, we're going to have to do this now without Chelsea and without Ange, and you know that has an effect on particularly some of the younger players. And it was going to be hard work anyway, but then, as you said, minus one of your leaders when you really needed everything to go right for you, just made it a bridge too far.
Now, Bish, we talked about the crowd here and the advantage for the Adelaide Crows playing. Were you surprised by how many Brisbane fans were actually here? Because it's in the days of COVID, it's a fair effort to get here.
It is, and look, they really supported their team, and it turned out they kicked a couple of goals at the Northern End where all their supporters were sort of...
the South Australians, we corralled them down the Northern End and left them there.
But they really made some noise, and you could just see the energy that the Brisbane players got when they got a couple of goals at that end. They went and they celebrated with their fans, and just behind us, they're still celebrating now. They just left the ground and they've just given them a rousing sort of response.
Bix, I know it's disappointing at the moment, particularly for Crows fans here at Adelaide Oval who watch their team go down, but the year's been fantastic. This is a special edition of the Crows Show, so stick around because there's plenty to celebrate about a great year after the break.
Switch into the corridor. Foley to centre half forward. Over the head of Conway and Thompson. Thompson will back herself for speed. Can she shrug the tackle? She can. Gets up. Goes again. Dribbles. Goalwards!
Welcome back to the Adelaide Oval and a special edition of the Crow Show. Mark Bickley, unfortunately wasn't Adelaide's day today, but Brisbane, you've got to take your hat off to them. They played exceptionally good football.
Oh, they did, and their pressure was just amazing. The way they just got out Adelaide, they didn't give them any time or space, and then when they went forward, they ended up being really efficient inside their forward 50. Adelaide had so many more entries, but there were so many times the times that it went into Brisbane's forward line, they just made the most of opportunities, and there were some cracking goals that they kicked, as we're seeing now.
Just remember the statistics we're looking at before. Inside 50s, Brisbane were like 24, the Crows were like 44.
Yeah.
And yet at one stage, we looked up at the scoreboard, Brisbane was 6 straight goals, no points. We were going, this is fantastic for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, they made their own luck too. They had a couple of cracking goals. There was one that was socket off the ground. There was another that rolled onwards and just got a really A-grade bounce. But they made their own luck, and what they also did was they just forced Adelaide back, and they forced Adelaide into error. And when things start to roll for you in a grand final, you just get that sort of adrenaline start pumping. You can just see the looks on their faces. They'd been here a couple of times already and hadn't been successful. They weren't letting this one slip, and their veins, and you could just see how excited they were. They weren't going to let this one slip.
Let's talk about the pressure, because we know about the men's game and the pressure that goes on there. It's been opened up a bit this year, but the women's game has developed so quickly over the last 5 seasons.
Yeah.
And pressure is one of those absolute skills which win the big games.
Yeah, it is, and I guess at the moment, the players, when they're under enormous pressure, it's harder for them to execute their skills as well as they would like. So I guess that's the thing that Brisbane would really take away, and they'd be wrapped with the way they executed that today.
Bex, Mark Soderstrom, of course, from 7 News. He is down in the rooms, and disappointing Soders, but what's the feeling like? It's probably hard to get over the scoreline at the moment, but the year's been a success, hasn't it?
Yeah. Look, it has been a great year, Abba, of course, until we get to today. Now, I was going to say, you guys know what it's like to lose grand finals, but Bix, obviously you won a couple as captain of the AFL. Abba, you won 7 at Port Adelaide, so you guys know what it's like to win them, but to lose is tough. And you look around here and there's family, there's partners, you know, the players, there's a lot of tears, and it's so disappointing. And Abba, as you said, look, it has been a terrific year for the team up until today, but it's very hard to, I suppose, even reconcile, you know, the positives out of the year when you go into a game like today. And essentially the way Brisbane played, and I heard both of you talking about pressure before, the way they set things up in that first 10 minutes really set the day, and Adelaide were really chasing the whole time. They had a little bit of composure probably in the second half of that first term, but they couldn't really hurt Brisbane with all those inside 50s, and before you knew it, that pressure just kept amping up, and then it was just too far.
So is any news on Ange Foley's knee injury?
Yeah, well, look, Abba, she doesn't know. We just had a chat to her. She's just sitting down here with her mum and dad at the moment, and obviously it's sore, as you would imagine, but they can't tell from just the initial test they've done. So they're not confirming or denying that it's anything, you know, ACL-wise or anything yet. So obviously she'll have to wait for scans on that. But yeah, so bad, obviously, when you know, Chelsea Randall can't play, of course, and then Ange goes down with that knee. So it's been a tough day for captains and stand-in captains.
Premierships already, and what's the feeling? I mean, do they carry through that they've won some, occasionally you lose some, and Brisbane were on fire today, weren't they?
Yeah, but look, they were remarkable, and look, what they did was they really targeted the players that have hurt them in the past, and we know Erin Phillips just monstered them in that 2017 grand final, and again earlier in the year in round 4 she kicked those 4 goals. So they had Emily Bates really close her down. Ebony Marinoff was sensational with her 35 touches in the prelim final, so Spark closed her down as well. And you know, when you've got your two of the most influential players in the competition, you know, well held, it made it really tough. But you know, in saying that, Adelaide did have a lot of chances, but Abba, Bix, you would have seen, you know, going forward, particularly in that first half, it just blazed away, and even when they had the numbers 2-on-1, just without the composure going forward, it opened the doors for the Brisbane defenders every time.
Thanks, Sotis. There you go, Mark Sotis from down in the Adelaide change rooms. Now, helping lead the Crows surge this year has been assistant coach Narelle Smith, a veteran of 130 games in the Adelaide Footy League. She also coached the state's women's side and Glenelg's Sandful W team. But perhaps her biggest moment was when she said yes to coaching a senior men's side, Glenelg's Sandful Reserves. Thanks to Optus, Sam Jacobs talks to Narelle about what's been such a male-dominated sport.
Hello Crows fans, I'm here with Narelle Smith, the current AFLW midfield coach. Narelle, it started with yes for you when you got the job at Adelaide Football Club coaching the men's reserves team.
Yes, it was kind of a reverse yes, because the players were asked if they wanted a female coach, and I said don't care as long as she knows footy, so they said yes, and I was in.
Career-wise, you've been with the SAPOL since 1988, the year I was born.
Yes. Yep.
How's that been in terms of transitioning, and what's some of the skills I guess you've taken from that and transitioned into footy?
Yeah, look, both male-dominated areas, so I was used to being female in spaces where there are a lot of men. You know, just work through my leadership style, you know, because you don't want to be over bombastic about how you go about it, and just try and get to know people, and that's the same everywhere, like your people are your key.
I guess in South Australia you've been a bit of a pioneer for women's footy. Started at Morpheville Park, and then obviously we touched on some of your coaching credentials. How have you found the growth in women, and from when you've started to now? Obviously it's been a big change, but how's that been?
Oh, it's just amazing. You know, people often say to me like, oh God, you know, they're kicking better, they're faster and they're stronger, and I go, who would have thought, you know, putting some time into athletes that they're going to improve. Yeah, no, they've been fantastic, and it's only going to get better. Like I'm coaching with the academies at the moment, and you know, there's at least half a dozen kids in there that you go, they've been playing, your kids, it's clear they've been playing football since they were kids.
You've obviously had an extensive time in the game, and I'm sure you've learned so much. What's been some of your proudest achievements above all else?
I do remember the first night that we had an under-18s female competition start. It was a really proud moment because a lot of people said that'll never happen. And then obviously sitting in the box in the 2019 grand final where Phil Harper, our footy manager, and I just kind of looked at each other and he said, "Oh, Rel, did you ever think that you would see this?" And I said, "Oh, I knew it would happen, but I didn't know if it would happen in my lifetime." So yeah, that was probably one of the really proudest moments.
We're very fortunate, Rel, to have you at the club. Thanks for sharing your moment. It started with yes, and we're looking forward to many more good years ahead of the Crows. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Cheers.
mate.
Cheers.
Good on yourself.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Adelaide Oval, special edition of the Crows Show. And Bix, the women are unfortunately disappointing, but of course the men go around tomorrow. I'm going to ask you about a young man, Lachie Scholl. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, look, we saw him named as the rising star this week. Second time. He did it late last year, came back again and done it again. Comes from football royalty, I guess. His dad played. His two uncles were great players also. And what he is, he's a running machine and he's got magnificent disposal. So, yeah, he's going to be a player with a bright future. 2 rising star nominations, of course. 1 last year, 1 this year. Let's find out a bit more about him.
Been very good, and so is this young man, Scholl.
31 disposals now for Lachie Scholl.
Yeah, obviously it's pretty cool to be able to get recognition for, I suppose, the game that I played on the weekend. But it's very much about being able to play your role for the team, and it was really pleasing to come out on top. Full credit to North, they were awesome for the first 3 quarters. But yeah, it was just a matter of backing our fitness base and the work that we'd done throughout the pre-season, and just trusting what we know. And thankfully we were able to come out with a solid win.
And then coughs it up. Hamill, good to see him back out on the ground. Scholl, and it's a lovely kick on his opposite.
I think that's the case with a lot of outside run positions, in particular the wing. I suppose you're, in a way, you're a byproduct of how the team's going, and the team's ability to move the ball forward, and also obviously individually your ability to be able to go both ways and help or support the team when needed. But yeah, it's definitely helps when the team is doing well.
Jimmy Rowe, he can just about put it in the book.
Got the first hands to it. Walker, hurried snap. Has he got enough bend?
I'd like to think that I'm able to go both ways and try my best to help the team going back defensively, and then also trying to help them out offensively, and trying to keep a team first mindset, and things like holding your width and all that sort of thing come into play. But yeah, it's obviously it's a lot of fun being out there, and I'm loving playing at the moment.
Hall with the tackle, doesn't sit here for Scholl. He's in the pocket, he dribbles it through.
So the Crows have had the last 9 inside 50s either side of quarter time. The game is on their terms at the moment. Can they take full toll, Jones, to give the home side their first lead of the afternoon? Exquisite.
Welcome back to Adelaide Oval, special edition of the Crows Show. Bix, it would have been a whole lot easier and a bit more upbeat if they had have got home. Unfortunately, 18 points to the margin. You've got to be proud of your girls. Huh?
Yeah, exactly right. They did a great job to get there. We saw Danielle Ponta, who is going to be a star of the future. Found it tough today, as did most of the Crows forwards. All
right, finding it tough also, Mark Soderstrom. He is down in the rooms with the Adelaide Crows with some of the players.
The Crash sisters, I think you were called, coming into the game. Rochelle and also Hannah. Guys, obviously a terrible, terrible result, but there's an amazing performance this year so far.
Yeah, it was good. A lot of challenges along the way, but we made it to the grand final, which was a good achievement. But yeah, couldn't get it done today.
Hannah, they came in pretty hard, didn't they, at you in that first half of that first quarter?
Yeah, their pressure was just outstanding, and unfortunately we cracked under pressure there. Yeah, a really disappointing result.
Look, it's very tough to be talking about, obviously, things that go wrong. So let's talk about what's gone right, of course, for the year. Hannah, tell us about your little sister here, because I know, Rochelle, you've been amazing all year, and I think you've got a bit of cult hero written all over the way you go about it. But tell us what Rochelle was like to play with and how she got to where she is.
Yeah, she's an absolute jet. I'm really proud of her to finally make it to the top level. She's been looked over because of her height for, she was noticed in the sample since day one, and clubs have overlooked her because of her height, and here she is now making waves here at AFLW levels. So, she's worked really hard. She's focused on the things that she can control. Obviously, she can't control her height. So, all credit to her and the resilience she's shown during her football journey.
Rochelle, we loved watching you playing this year and just the way you go at it. Did you take those hits when people did talk to you about height and things like that? Because I think your heart, no matter how tall you are, your heart's enormous.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing hearing about height, so I just try to do what I can to make them look past it. So I always try to go in hard at the ball and do the best I can in what I do.
Well, when the ball's on the ground, you're closer to it than anyone.
Yeah.
So it's an advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it's an advantage, but yeah, I guess they see that now.
Absolutely. Tell us about your shoulder.
Yeah, just pulled up a bit sore. I think it's all right. Just a little, yeah.
Now, remarkably, both of you guys in your AFLW careers, you've both won Best and Fairest as well. Were you inspired watching your sister go at it, obviously, after you'd won one?
Yes. Well, if I'm being honest, apparently I stole the first one from her. She was tipped to win the 2018 one. So, it's about time she won one, so I was, super stoked for her.
Tell us about the season, of course, because there were some wonderful moments. Obviously, today is so disappointing, but there's got to be so much positivity you can take out.
Well, I remember Doc saying at the start of pre-season, this is going to be the most exciting season of AFLW you've ever seen. And, if you look at the top 6, it's only percentage that really, it was really close, and so many, I don't know, just the improvement of the comp and to see us make it to the grand final, that opportunity doesn't come up very often. So, really proud of the girls and how they went about the whole season.
You would have, Rochelle, watched Hannah play in the grand final a couple of years ago. You pinch yourself that you're actually standing out there in front of near 30,000 today?
Yeah, that was pretty amazing to be out there. I remember watching Hannah in 2019, 50,000 or more, so it was really special. And when she kicked her goal, I was really teary in 2019, and now I'm out there with her, so it was really special to be there.
Well, guys, everyone knows how much it does hurt, but thank you so much for both coming with your great smiles and your great energy, and congratulations on your year.
Thank you,
Cheers, Soda.
Disappointed players down there in the rooms with Mark Soderstrom. Of course, the Adelaide Crows went down by 18 points to Brisbane in the AFLW Grand Final here at Adelaide Oval. We'll have more on that a little bit later in the show, but of course for Crows fans, Bix, plenty to look forward to tomorrow with the Crows taking on Freo here, and 3-1. You reckon they can be 6-1. You are up and about.
Well, look, they start favourites tomorrow, which hopefully they get over the line. That'll be 4-1. And they've got 2 very winnable games coming up after that in Hawthorn and GWS. Now, I was a little bit worried at the start of the year, I must say. I put my hand up, but I'm much more confident now. The pressure they're bringing is outstanding, and they've got a big fella up forward who's doing pretty well.
Well, Cornsey on 7 News said they can make the finals, and everyone laughed at him, and unfortunately, he's laughing at the moment.
Yeah.
It's rare for him to get it right.
Well, just ask him. He reckons he gets it right pretty often.
All right. Well, one man who has had a lot to do with the start to the Adelaide Crows is Tex Walker. Let's meet him.
Schonberg. Advance again. It's the go-to man. Oh, Taylor Walker. When you're hot. Oh, you're scorching. He's playing one of the games of his life.
I don't think this is going to be my last year. I want to play again. My body's healthy. I'm in a great headspace, so if I can continue playing the way I am, I can't see a reason why I wouldn't be here next year.
Tex on the bounce, spins, kicks. Brilliant. Vintage Tex Walker.
It's a bit of an out for me now. I'm going through the stage of being a parent. A lot of my time and effort is into my family and my kids. And then when I come to the footy club, I just love it and enjoy it. And the young boys are keeping me young, and that's, I think, is paying dividends once I run out of the field. The COVID break for our footy club was a blessing. Guys that live interstate or from interstate weren't able to go home, so we were able to keep our group here in SA within the COVID rules. We were able to train together. So we pretty much had a pre-season, which is showing now we've got so much belief. As a team, we've just got to go week to week. We're an inexperienced team growing together, so we've got to enjoy each game as it comes, and the development and growth of Shano, Bill Frampton's coming in and playing a role, Jimmy Rose coming, obviously Murph has gone to the next level, then you've got guys like Schonberg coming through, and the experience of Tommy Lynch and myself. It's a nice blend, so if we can continue to play footy together, the experience and growth will continue to happen.
Well, let's hope Taylor Walker's outstanding form continues tomorrow. Well, every Crows fan has their own special memories of great wins and special occasions. And this year, with the help of Bendigo Bank, we've gone to social media to select a member each week who help us relive one of those moments. Today, Phil takes us back to round 1, 2012, when the Crows upset the Cats. We'll let Phil explain what happened next.
name's Phil Hunter, and I've been a member since day one, so 30 years. The favourite one, I think, was when Tex got me to come and sing the song after we'd beaten Geelong in a bit of an upset back in 2012.
When in doubt, go for goal.
Since day one, when we were allowed to get reserve seats, me and a few mates lined up overnight to try and get the spot we wanted, right on the 50-metre line, back where the Crows used to come in the ground. I love giving advice to the opposition and like being amongst the action and that, so that's why I've always liked the front row. So we've got a few reactions from players over the years, getting the bird from a few opposition teams and whatever, and that's good. I like a result like that.
Vessel get the joint jumping. Another one for the Crows.
Tex saw me front row, had the Guernsey on, come in, sing the song with us. Jumped the fence, went in with the boys, was chatting to Sauce on the way in the race. Yeah, it was good. The boys looked after me big time. Awesome. I was so pumped. My heart was still racing for another couple hours after. Unfortunately, I was driving, so I had to drive home. Otherwise, I would have had quite a few beers back in the shed afterwards type thing. So yeah, a hell of a day.
We weren't going to get a licence. We had to fight and scrap for this. We had to be at our best. One thing I've realised in life, the harder you have to fight for something, the more satisfaction you get from it when it turns into some form of success. It was critical. We all knew the power of women's sport, and it was the right decision because every young girl, every woman deserves the right to play their sport at the highest national level. It's not just females that love the AFLW, it's all of us. I can remember taking the Premier's young family to an Adelaide Crows game, and he was a passionate Port Adelaide supporter, as were his girls. They barrack for the Crows now.
It's been a wonderful experience for me coming into the club. I feel like we've got a great culture. It's very inclusive, and you can see throughout this week with Chelsea Randall what a wonderful role model these girls are for kids that are aspiring to play footy, boys or girls. And you know, the way they conduct themselves on and off the field, I've been really impressed by. The Crows have embedded themselves in terms of participation and growth and numbers in terms of female football. The Optus Crows Cup has been part of that, and what we've established it. Now we've got to continue to grow.
We're a better football club for having a AFLW team.
Rob Chapman there, the former chairman at the Adelaide Crows. Clearly it's been a success, Bix. I mean, 4 completed seasons. Adelaide's played in 3 grand finals and 2 flags. That's a resounding success.
Yeah, it is. And when they started, they were worried about how the talent depth in Adelaide, and that's why they partnered with the Northern Territory. So they've done an amazing job. Phil Harper, amongst others as well, they've created a list. And you think about Erin Phillips, Chelsea Randall, they're household names in this state now. So they've done an amazing job.
Well, Bix, an amazing first in South Australian sport is you actually had Port Adelaide fans barracking for the Crows today. This will be a first, but the reason is they want to get an AFLW team. They've seen the success. They want a team in there as soon as possible. Now, there's Port Adelaide, Sydney, Hawthorn and Essendon are the only 4 AFL clubs who don't have an AFLW team. So they want to get in there, and they were hoping Adelaide could win because then every other team would say you need 2 teams here because of the depth.
You've got to break up the monopoly. Is that what they were thinking? But anyway, look, I think eventually it will happen. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And if we just cast our mind forward, what that's going to look like in terms of another showdown, another opportunity to be able to have that rivalry, continue on, which can only be a good thing for footy in this state.
Imagine that, a women's showdown, a men's showdown. Greg Phillips, the coach, maybe Erin Phillips would turn up, and who knows, Bix, we'll look forward to it anyway.
Keep your fingers off Erin, that's all I'll say.
Bix, let's head back to the room. So is down there with MJ.
MJ, thanks for joining us. Such a tough challenge. Has the coach actually had a chance to speak to you guys yet?
Yeah, we did. We had a chat after in the rooms, and again, just reiterated how proud he is of us. Obviously, we've worked hard, but you know, today wasn't our day, and but doesn't change anything in terms of, I guess, how we feel, and we're still a family and stay connected.
MJ, cross half back, you and the team were there, and I think about halfway through that first term, you started to get the game onto your terms. Do you feel like you did have so many opportunities?
Well, we did. We had a fair few inside 50s compared to them, and I guess on the other flip side, they scored from theirs. We didn't. So that was the big difference. Is that, you know, we had our opportunity, we had the ball there, but we just couldn't get it over the line.
If we look at some positives, because we can't keep looking at all the negatives, MJ, here. Chelsea's week, the way that she has carried herself, I think, has been remarkable, and people not even involved in football have just stood back and said, wow.
Yeah, she is an unbelievable human being, and you see it week in, week out. We see it week in, week out, but the public can see, like, she genuinely cares for every one of us and genuinely will put us ahead of herself. So, and you see that on a day-to-day basis, and obviously this week it's been highlighted, but
it's been enormous to get to this point. What's been the highlight of the year for you watching your whole team evolve?
I think just seeing, I guess, how connected we have become. Obviously, after last year, it was a disappointing year, and Doc even kind of re-highlighted it. He goes, I remember last year we finished off, we weren't happy with how we performed. We weren't happy with what we achieved last year. And he goes, it was about 2 weeks later, and he goes, I know we start pre-season, but he goes, your pre-season started back when COVID, you know, back in April, March. So he was like, you guys have started back then, and everything you've done, you've worked to get to this point, and unfortunately we fell short today, but we go again.
MJ, be very proud of your efforts, mate, to get this far, and we look forward to seeing you back in there next year.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Otis, and we'll have more interviews from down in the rooms later on in the show. Now it's the turn of Riley Thilthorpe to tell us a bit about himself. What we do know is that he was the second pick in last year's draft, and in this segment, delivered by Thomas Farms, Riley talks about his journey to the top with Brodie Smith.
This week we're joined by Riley Filthy Thilthorpe. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Thanks for having me, Smithers.
Now, give us your background to the footy club.
Yeah, lived in Adelaide my whole life. Sort of grew up playing for Westies, and then I was lucky enough to come here, just around the corner, which has been good.
Local club?
Goodwood Saints.
Goodwood
breeding
Saints.
ground, so it's pretty good down there. Shout out.
Hobbies outside of the footy club?
Yeah, bit of golf, bit of surfing, pretty average at both, so just have a bit of fun, yeah.
Any other sports growing up?
Played a bit of ice hockey, a bit of cricket, bit of swimming, bit of badminton, bit of everything, so footy stuck.
You want to give us the background on ice hockey? Pretty rare sport.
Yeah, Dad played it, I guess. I guess he was all right. So then I started following his footsteps.
Giving him nothing there.
Nah, he doesn't deserve it, mate. Yeah, no, he doesn't deserve that. Yeah, played up into under-10s and then tried footy, and it's worked out all right so far. So.
And what around the club? Who's helped you the most around the footy club so far coming in?
Probably not you. You don't talk to me too much. No, you've been real good. Who's been good? Riley, Big Rob. He's been pretty handy. Sort of similar position, so he's pretty good.
Nice, all right. Thanks for joining us and giving us absolutely nothing.
Welcome back to the Adelaide Oval and a special edition of the Crows Show. The AFLW Grand Final finished just over an hour ago, and Brisbane are home by 18 points, which to culminate a great season after the last one got basically cancelled.
Yeah, exactly. Third time lucky. They've been here twice before. Third time they finally got there, and you can see the enormous emotion that they're outpouring at the moment. And there is no better feeling in footy than getting your hands on that cup, and you can see they're pretty excited right now.
But she was still up and about early in the last quarter when Adelaide had plenty of the ball going forward, got that quick goal, had a couple of chances. You were still up and about.
Well, I was just hoping for a miracle. They need to kick 4 goals in the last quarter, Adelaide, and only kicked 2 for the match. But pretty much the whole last quarter was in there, inside their forward 50. But what the story was for the whole day, just could not find a winner inside their forward 50. And full credit to Brisbane, though. They were the better team today.
All right, Big, time now to head back down to the rooms. So Mark Soderstrom is down there with Sarah Allen.
Sarah, thanks so much for joining us. Coming into this game, boy, you had a really, really big job. You had the leading goal kicker, Dakota Davidson, and you did it really well. So congratulations on that. How did you really embrace and address that job?
Yeah, look, I didn't think about it too much. As a defensive unit, we worry more about how we're working as a team, and I think it takes all of us in defence to do a job on a player, and so we all did it together. But yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't stop those other players getting over the back and getting those goals, which is disappointing.
So, of course, your partner in crime, Chelsea, wasn't there, but she did spend a lot of time forward. So you've essentially marshalled the defence for most of the year. So you must be really happy with the way you've evolved as a player this year?
Yeah, it's allowed me to push up the ground a bit more, obviously with Chelsea not there, which has been a lot funner for me as a player, and yeah, got me up the ground, which is great. And then as a defensive unit, we've really been able to hone in all together and work really well. And yeah, it was a fun year together in defence, and we always have fun back there. But obviously today it wasn't our best day, but yeah, they just bet us around the contest.
Going forward now, when you look at that, there is so much to look forward to with this young team, because I think you had another 5 girls that hadn't played in the grand final today.
Yeah, definitely. Like I was talking to all the girls after the game. I'm like I feel like there's so much more to give with this group, and we're all so. That's what people don't understand. We're so young, the core of the group, and I just feel like there's definitely a future for us. So it's obviously really disappointing. You get to a grand final and you want to win it, but I just feel like deep down, this group's got a lot more to give.
Well, Sarah, thanks so much for talking to us. I know it's always tough after a grand final when you haven't won. Hey, good luck Tuesday night, because there's no doubt you should be named All-Australian again this year.
Thanks, Soda.
Mark So's from down there in the rooms doing it tough with some disappointed Adelaide Crows ladies players. Unfortunately lost by 18 points. Beck's got plenty more to wrap it up after the break, but looking forward to it. And of course, don't forget there's 7 News. We've got a 5 o'clock special edition coming up from here at the Adelaide Oval before our main bulletin at 6. But stay with us. The other side of the break, we'll wrap up the AFLW Grand Final. Tonight on 7 News, the final salute live to Windsor ahead of Prince Philip's funeral.
The AstraZeneca jab officially linked to the death of an Australian woman. What it means for the rollout.
Gumtree Homes, no agents, no worries. The sellers cashing in on Adelaide's red-hot real estate market.
A Fisho's paradise to open to the public south of the city. How it'll work.
The Crows gallant in defeat as the Lions claim their first flag.
Sam Powell-Pepper makes his return in the Sandful, and Michael Voss with the final word ahead of the Powers clash with Carlton.
All that more in 7's main news hour at 6 after the special early edition live from Adelaide Oval.
Queens of the jungle. They are the champions of AFLW for the first time.
Great scenes if you're a Brisbane Lions fan there. 18-point victors in the AFLW Grand Final here at Adelaide Oval today. Now, we have witnessed an enormous growth in women's football, but while local clubs have been quick to flourish, they've had many challenges. One of these has been able to provide extra equipment for new recruits. Thankfully, Toyota, the Crows' major partner, has stepped up for a second year by contributing uniforms for 100 female football sides across Australia through their Toyota Good for Footy Gear grants program. Now, one of those to benefits is the Houghton Districts Club in the Adelaide Hills.
I'm Sharon Henderson. I'm the Vice President of Houghton Districts Football Club. We only started juniors in 2018 with 1 team, and now in 2021 we have 7 teams, and 3 of those teams are girls junior footy, so it's been fantastic. We actually have more girls participating in our junior program than boys at the moment.
I'm Taya Hall and I play in the under-16s girls team at Houghton. When I started, I was kind of the first one and helped bringing everyone in to create the first team. Because we're such a small club that's growing and growing, everyone knows each other and everyone's important and valued here.
My name's Georgia Lovell and I play in the under-15s team at Houghton. The last 2 years we've been playing with like men's Guernseys and shorts.
And that was very hard around, sort of the girls that had a more feminine and curvy shape, not very confidence boosting and hard to play in if there's extra material.
But this year we got new Guernseys from Toyota.
My name's Alicia Henderson. I play for the under-15s team at Houghton Districts Football Club. It definitely makes me more excited to play the game because I know that I won't have to worry about what I'm wearing. Really excited to see if this is going to help me in my game and comfortableness, which makes it all so much better.
Toyota's influence is certainly a winner for grassroots clubs, and you can do your bit to support clubs by buying a $5 raffle ticket. Search Toyota Good for Footy raffle online for more information.
Bicks, they've been great sponsors of the Adelaide Crows since day one. Now, talking about the men, they play here tomorrow against Fremantle. They had a run here this morning. Let's hear from James Riley.
No, Brodie's fine. Yeah, had a little bit of a knee, but he's got through all training for the whole week. So no, Brodie Smith will be fine this week. He got a couple of kick-ins there, which he roosted, so it looked all right to us. So hopefully he can do that on the weekend. The thing I'm happy with how Tex is going and how happy we are is the way he's playing all facets of the game. And he didn't get on the scoreboard as much last week, but he was up the ground and really important those long kicks out of the back line and marked the ball or competed. So no, he's playing pretty good all-round footy at the moment, so hopefully he can continue that. Yeah, he got a knock in the game against Mackay, but yeah, that's just a little bit sore, and again, management. He got through most of the main session, or the drills we wanted him to get through, and then he did a little bit today and probably did enough. So, but again, we'll see how he pulls up. In pretty good form, the Dockers. They've got a strong midfield brigade with a bit of experience with Mundy and Fife, and then Cher and Brayshaw coming through. So they're really strong around the midfield, and they've been able to get it inside 50 pretty cleanly, take a lot of marks. I think Nixie's philosophy is more about what we're about and how we want to play, and we're still working on our brand of footy, but I think the first 4 weeks just can see a foundation of how we want to play, and hopefully we can improve on that week after week. Hope, and now it's a bit of a belief, I think it's turned into. I hope we would be competitive, and I think what we've seen in the first 4 rounds, we have been competitive. There's no doubt all our 4 quarters haven't been perfect, but yeah, I think the way we've played is hopefully our fans are enjoying.
Well, Bix, as we said, they trained here this morning. They've surprised everyone, and those young players they're blooding. Winning just is an unbelievable experience and a lift up for young guys, isn't it?
Oh, it is, and it's an infectious thing that it brings along, and we've seen the blokes like Sloan and Walker who have just been carried along with that, and they've really led from the front. So, you know, I'm expecting them to win tomorrow. I think they're pretty evenly matched, but the fact that Adelaide have played so well at home and their crowd has been so supportive, I think that's been the difference against the Gold Coast. I think it can be the difference again tomorrow.
Now, Rory Sloane's out for a while, and Tex, it's like he's been reborn. Can you put it down to anything?
Yeah, look, I'm sure the new rules help, so the ball gets moved quicker, and he's competing one out as opposed to competing against more numbers. But look, he looks fitter as well. He looks a bit lighter, and he's kicking the ball beautifully. So I hope it continues. I hope that he has a bit of a resurgence, not dissimilar to Travis Boak, who a couple of years ago looked like he was trailing off, and now he's one of the best players in the comp. I hope that Tex can replicate that.
What you're saying is that Tex has lost a bit of weight. That's pretty much.
No, he's
all right,
fitter.
we'll stick on the footy, of course, because after the news, the 6 o'clock bulletin, Port Adelaide taking on Carlton, and this is a must-win for Port Adelaide, isn't it?
It is, and if you remember back last year, it's Robbie Gray, the goal after the siren. So we know that Carlton will sort of fight really hard, but I'd expect Port Adelaide to be too good, and I think they're building. They've got great depth, and we'll see some players get some opportunities with some injuries to some of their young guns.
All right, Bix, it's been a disappointing day for Crows fans here at the Adelaide Oval. It's been wonderful for women's football, of course, as another season is completed. We talk about the statistics and the number of young girls who are playing football. That's what we want to see. You've got 3 daughters, so have I, so it's absolutely fantastic. But unfortunately for here at the Adelaide Oval today, the AFLW Women's Grand Final, it was Brisbane victorious. They got home in the end by 18 points. Congratulations. But of course, I could say footy's the winner, couldn't I?
Indeed. Too good, Albert.
Presenting a charm for the Brisbane Lions. They are AFLW premiers for 2021.
That's too loud.